In today's video, I want to speak to you about the emotions behind money and making financial decisions. If you don't know me, my name is Mar Hausler. I'm a financials coach, a money mentor, and I'm really working with women, especially, and men all around money, looking at it from your mindset all the way to investing and looking at your future towards financial freedom. So many of my clients cannot do budgets, press the investment button, are afraid to step forward and to change their financial future. And I want to speak to exactly this today. There's so many budgeting apps nowadays, tools, ways to invest, videos, channels that are talking about it on YouTube, Instagram accounts, courses, books. And yet, why do we find it so difficult as individuals sometimes to do the exact thing that we need to do or that we know we should be doing? And this is where I want to get to today. I had a client recently. She could not do her budget. She came out of the session fired up, and then she told me, I sat in front of it and so many emotions came up. Emotions from, if I am on top of my finances and make money, my mom's going to ask me for money. My dad's going to expect me to pay him back for debts I have. And then she kept herself small. For example, in Africa recently, a client told me about something called black tax, which is because so many families weren't making money that they invested so much money into the kids' education that when they got there, they were expected to pay their parents. One of my clients even said she has a mom on her payroll to be able to support her. Where does all of this come from? And why are we holding ourselves back on emotions when we're not acting in the way that we feel like we should? We're taken over by fears, anxiety, shame, stress, and then we can't act in ways that we think we should be doing. And yes, there's certain actions, budgeting, taking care of your finances, investing for the future. You're being told these, but what is underlying them that is stopping you from doing that? And there's two things that I just addressed and that I want to dive into. One of them is your own emotions, what's happening in your own money story. And the other one is what's coming from your lineage and what's holding you back on that level. We all have our own money stories. There's no right or wrong way to deal with money. That's why it's called personal finance. And each individual is born into a different story. You might have been growing up in the same family, but have two different money stories because you're in a different point in the family history. Let's say you're the eldest or the youngest. You've had different relationships to it. Your parents might have been in different financial situations as you were growing up. And this all affects your life. The way we act with money until we deal with it and are able to plan and look forward is very much like a child, I say. It's very much in our trauma responses. Fight, flight, freeze, fawning. We find ourselves acting in different ways if those are responses and mechanisms that we've lived with and dealt in our lives with. If you freeze when it comes to money, it's like you have to do your budget, you have to do something, and you just cannot do it. You just sit in front of that and you're frozen. All the emotions come up and you just put it aside. Flight, you're running away constantly from doing it. You just cannot face your money situation. So there's no right or wrong way to react, but we have to observe in your own life how you're acting with it and then see how you can work on moving that forward and getting out of the emotional responses. The other side of this, and I'm going to give you some tools later on this, but I just want to address, which is also family stories, histories, expectations. And how I see this is that we are a channel, visually, however you want to imagine it, and we have certain situations, relationships, ways we deal with money. And what I say to my clients is we come back to yourself and we close those relationships. Oftentimes, you end up doing the same thing that you were doing before, but from a different space. It's life expecting from you, life taking from you, versus you coming back and saying, this is the situation I want to engage with life. I want to take that step to make that decision, to move forward, to make that choice. It's a completely different thing, even if you're doing the same action. If you are paying your mom monthly because she needs money from you and she's expected it from you and she's asked you from it and she said, this is what you have to do. It's our family culture, and you have all these emotions behind it, but you still do it. It's very different from coming back to yourself and saying, okay, I am choosing now because from an abundant space, from the space I'm in, I want to support my mom. Not because the culture expects it, my family expects it, the situation expects it, but because I want to choose to support her financially from the place I'm at. It's a very different energy shift from taking from you, expecting from you, versus you showing up and giving it from yourself. So that's what we want to do with your money story, with your history, with where you're at, coming back to you, closing that channel and then allowing you to engage in your specific ways with the outside world financially. When we look at emotions, I always say it's something called energy in motion. Emotion is an energy in motion. And oftentimes the things we're feeling are not related to today. They're related to stories that have happened in the past. A lot of my clients have traumas around money, as I call them, or things because of their childhood. What we want to do is come back to see, okay, where did it happen? How can I deal with it? And oftentimes this is called a flashback. So something happens in your life and everything that you're feeling is not just today's emotion around money, but something that was triggered in the past. So it's taking you back then where the whole load of emotion comes in and it has nothing to do with today's story. All of that backlash comes into your life. Now, what we want to do is come back to start dealing with these emotions to make more space in your system so that you can make new choices. If you're able to feel the emotions, see why you're doing that, make a space between that and your response. Let me take a moment, let me breathe, let me see what is going on in my system and how can I make that choice in a different way. You might still be making the same choice, but the action is not coming out of response, but out of a choice from your system. And that is where the difference lies. And how you can do this is a simple tool that I've been doing for years, is writing down, for example, a list of 10 different emotions or 10 different responses that you have. Thinking of monetary, because we're on the money topic now, examples, money being taken from me, spending money, How do you remember feeling in certain situations? Or do you remember your parents losing money in the past, being in debt? What has happened? So the memory that triggers that emotion and then allowing yourself to feel it. So you would have this list and every day dedicate a certain amount of time to sit with each of them or seeing the one that's triggered the most. Sitting with it, feeling it in your system, bringing yourself back to the memory and allowing this feeling to come through. Because the only way through is by feeling those emotions. And then we can liberate the story and then we can write a new path. And I always say to my clients, we know there's a pothole we fall in the first time. We know it's there, we walk around it, and finally one day we walk a new path. And this is what we want to do. By addressing the emotions, by going deeper into your money story, by understanding your actions, we can rewrite the emotional path for you. We can write a new path of you making decisions, of you choosing to invest, doing a budget, and actually taking those actions that you want to do, pressing the button, but looking at what is between you and that, what is not allowing the action, what is allowing you to take new space and make new financial decisions. Because all the tools are out there, the books are written. It's just a matter of you overcoming that hurdle of emotions to be able to take a new step in a new direction in your financial reality. I hope this inspires you. I hope you can take this activity, implement it in your life, and rewrite your emotional story around money one step at a time. It's not the big changes, but it's the small ones that make a difference. If this inspires you, please share it, like the channel, and I look forward to sharing more. Any comments below on your progress would so interest me so we can keep walking this path towards financial freedom together.